If you're wondering, does my ex have grass is greener syndrome? That is what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to talk about 5 signs that they do have this, and one common thing that people often think is a sign that their ex has grass is greener syndrome that actually isn't necessarily true at all. But first, my name is Clay with ModernLove.life, where we help you get the great loving relationship that you're looking for without having to play mind games, hard to get, or pretend to be someone or something that you're not. If you like what we're doing here on this channel, do me a favor by giving this video a thumbs up, or if you're new here, consider subscribing to the channel while you're down there. All right, let's get into this. So, what is grass is greener syndrome? If English is not your first language or something like that, then you may not know, but this is a phrase that we have in English, which is, the grass is always greener on the other side of the fence. And basically, it means that, if in a relationship context, that your ex, for example, is never fully content with the relationship that they're in, and they're always thinking that maybe some other relationship or some other situation, like maybe single life, is better than what they currently have right now. And so it causes them to not fully commit to what they have, and for them to always think that there's something better out there. And this whole topic hits kind of close to home for me because my ex, my big ex that I talk about in many of these videos, she had grass is greener syndrome, I believe. And so a lot of this stuff does hit kind of close to home to me. But let's go ahead and get into this. So the first sign is that your ex has threatened to leave the relationship. They've threatened to leave. They've threatened to get out of the relationship, break up whenever things get hard, whenever things become, let's just say, less than ideal. Or they've just had like a wandering eye when the two of you are together. They've just, considered thinking about being with other people. They've suggested, hey, maybe we should see other people at some point or something like that. Or, in the case of my ex, she said, hey, we're just both very average people, and maybe, we should just not be together, or things like that. I know, kind of hard to believe somebody would actually say that to you, but hey, whatever. Anyway, that's the first sign. The second sign is that while the two of you were together, they started to get dangerously close to someone else. They started to get a friend of maybe the opposite sex, or maybe the same sex if they were into same-sex relationships or whatever. That kind of made you start to feel uncomfortable. It's like, hey, why are you spending so much time with that person? Why are you spending all your time, studying with that person? Or why are you spending so much time hanging out with that person? Or, how sometimes you can kind of just get this gut level feeling that this is more than just a platonic friendship, and you're starting to get some suspicions about it. And, it goes beyond just the usual creeping doubts that you might have in your head, and it starts to become like, oh, there might actually be something here. That's a sign that your ex has grass is greener syndrome, because essentially they might be kind of trying to warm up someone else to be in a relationship. When they feel ready to leave you, they have somebody else ready to go. So that could be something that could be a sign that your ex has grass is greener syndrome as well too. The third one is that since the breakup, they're still in contact with you in an emotional and meaningful sort of way. Now, sure, some of the signs are like, okay, we can look at some of these signs and say, yeah, when I was in a relationship with my ex, we can look and say, okay, these are some signs that maybe they were kind of not all the way in the relationship, but there are also some signs that they're also not all the way out of the relationship either. And that's also symptomatic of grass is greener syndrome. So if your ex is still in contact with you after breaking up, and it's in a meaningful sort of emotional way, even though maybe they're in a relationship with somebody else, even though maybe they're supposedly out there enjoying single life or whatever, they're still talking to you, they're still emotionally connected to you in some sort of way. That could be a sign that they have grass is greener syndrome. They went from the side of the fence that you're on to the side of the fence that you're not on, but now they're kind of looking back at your side of the fence, and they're saying, hey, the grass wasn't so bad over there. It was pretty green over there. And so that could definitely be a sign that maybe they're looking back on the time that they had together with you in a positive sort of way. And in the process of getting back together with your ex, this is going to happen, and it's not necessarily a grass is greener syndrome kind of thing, but it can be an indication of grass is greener stuff happening here. So, definitely keep that in mind. I mean, especially if you haven't really put in some work and effort to rebuilding the emotional connection between you and your ex, and it's just something that just kind of happened, then yeah, that definitely can be a sign of that. I mean, it happened between me and my ex. She left, she jumped into a relationship with somebody else, and we were talking, we were spending time together. She would tell me things like, I really never really appreciated how caring you were, how funny you were, how how lighthearted you were compared to this like really serious downer guy that she kind of ended up being in a rebound relationship with after me. But hey, that's a whole other story for a whole other time. Anyway, sign number 4 that your ex may have grass is greener syndrome is that they have alluded to the idea that breaking up with you was a mistake. Okay, so they're not just keeping an emotional connection with you, but they may have either mentioned, directly and said, hey, breaking up with you was a mistake. Or they may have, done some things like what my ex did, where they just kind of alluded to the fact that maybe it wasn't the best idea. Like, I never really appreciated how caring you were, or I never really noticed how open you were and how funny your sense of humor was, or things like that. It's kind of like one level removed from actually saying, hey, breaking up with you was a mistake. But if you kind of read between the lines a little bit, you can fill in the blanks and say, okay, yeah, that's what they're saying. And again, that's just a sign that they are on the other side of the fence looking back at what they left you, and they're saying, hey, actually that wasn't so bad. I'm not sure why I went ahead and did that maybe I didn't appreciate what I had in the moment. That's a sign that your ex may have grass is greener syndrome. And the 5th one, this is more of like a general global sort of thing, but if your ex, let's just say they don't have great follow-through with things in life, that could be a sign that they have grass is greener syndrome. They maybe start projects, but then they don't finish them. They tend to switch things over from one thing to another. Maybe they start to pursue a career in one thing, but then after they do it for a couple weeks or months or even a year or something like that, they might say, oh, well, I changed my mind. I want to go back to school and do this or whatever. That could be a sign of grass is greener syndrome. Sometimes in certain fields of personal development, they have a thing sort of similar to grass is greener, which is called shiny object syndrome. If your ex is easily distracted by the new shiny thing in life and kind of gives up on whatever they were focusing on, then that could be a sign that they might be susceptible to grass is greener syndrome. It just shows that they don't have a whole lot of follow through. They're not willing to stick with something. They're not willing to be 100% invested in a dynamic, in a relationship, in other areas of their life as well too. Whether they're like constantly switching careers, constantly thinking about switching other things up in their life, maybe certain hobbies or certain things that they're pursuing in their life. It could be a sign of grass is greener syndrome. So if your ex is that kind of personality, then could be grass is greener syndrome kind of thing. Okay, now I also want to talk about a thing that people sometimes think means that their ex has grass is greener syndrome, but isn't necessarily the case. And that is if your ex went from being in a relationship with you to being in a rebound relationship immediately after the breakup. It totally could be a grass is greener syndrome kind of thing, but it doesn't necessarily equate to that. And that's because the whole grass is greener thing, it kind of has a certain sort of intent behind it. Like, okay, I'm going to break up with you because I could see that being in a relationship with this other person might be better, or I could see that being single and dating a whole bunch of people might be better or more enjoyable or more fun or whatever. But getting into a rebound relationship, it doesn't necessarily have that premeditated kind of intent behind it. And your ex just might be kind of terrible at coping with their emotions. And so they just may have accidentally ended up in a rebound relationship. Once again, if you want to learn more about rebound relationships, you might want to check out this playlist up there in a video card. I'll also link to it down in the description box below. But anyway, those are some signs that your ex may have grass is greener syndrome. One sign that may not necessarily equate to that. Once again, if you like what we're doing here on this channel, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell icon, all that stuff, you know. Leave a comment down below. Does your ex have grass is greener syndrome? If so, what have been some signs that you have experienced about that? Also, you may want to check out this over here. It's a playlist on rebound relationships that might help educate you about what's going on with your ex, or you might want to check out this video over here. But once again, my name is Clay. Take care. I hope this video has helped you out, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.